If you're in your 20s or 30s and you're not investing, you could easily miss out on over $1 million in lifetime wealth. I know because that's what happened to me. The irony is, as a day trader, I was in the markets every day. But for the longest time, I didn't invest at all. I just didn't think about long-term wealth building or dividend income or retirement investing. Least of all, retirement investing. I smartened up eventually, but I always regretted that it didn't start sooner. So in this video, I'm going to give you the crash course in investing I wish I'd had when I was younger, so that you don't make the same mistakes I did. I'll show you the 3 crucial things you must do before you start investing, what funds I would buy, and the best way to invest to easily lower your taxes, something that can save you tens of thousands of dollars. I'll also show you the easy way to set up your investing, and I'll tell you about my 3 biggest mistakes that literally cost me $1 million in long-term wealth. Hi, my name is JC. I'm a best-selling finance author, and on this channel I talk about how to build long-term wealth smarter and faster. The one thing you definitely shouldn't do when it comes to investing is wait. There are 2 reasons for this. 1, your money is losing value every day. In 1985, a New York slice cost $1. Today, it's $4, if you're lucky. If you'd put $1,000 in an old sock 30 years ago, today its real value in terms of purchasing power, what you could actually buy with it, would have been less than half of what it was back then. But if you'd invested it in the S&P 500 and kept it there, it would have been worth more than $12,000 today. Even after adjusting for inflation, the real purchasing power of that $12,000 would still have been roughly 6 times higher than the $1,000 you originally invested. And that's also the second reason you shouldn't wait. When it comes to investing, the longer you are in the market, the more your money grows. The sooner you start investing, the better, but it's never too late to start. So if you're watching this and you're not 25 or 30, but you're 55 or 60, and your money is just sitting in a bank account, you'd still be better off investing it. It's amazing how much your money can grow in just 10 or 15 years. But if you're in your 20s or 30s, your money can spend much longer in the market, and that will make every dollar you invest worth way more. So don't wait. Don't tell yourself you don't have any money to invest right now, or that you don't know anything about investing. You don't need to be an expert on investing to invest. And these days, you can already start investing with as little as $1. There are only 3 things you must do before you start investing. First, you need to get a clear view of your finances. This is because you need to know how much you can comfortably invest every month. Invest too much and you might not be able to keep it up. Invest too little and your wealth won't grow as fast as it could. So write down your income and expenses over the last month or so and see where you stand. To help you do this, I created an easy spreadsheet that automatically shows you how much you can invest. It's completely free. I just created it to make it a little easier and a little more fun to get a better grip on your finances. I'll leave a link in the description below. Look, I know this is not the most fun part, but it takes less than an hour and it will definitely help you get a much better handle on your finances, which is super important when it comes to investing. You might even uncover some unnecessary expenses, which will free up even more money to invest. The second thing you need to do before you start investing is to pay down your high interest debt first. If you have a credit card debt with an interest rate of 20% or more, there is really no point in investing because the interest rate on the debt is much higher than the expected average return of the stock market, which has historically been around 10% per year or so. So if you have any high interest debt, the smart move is to pay that down first. The free tool I'll just mention, by the way, also includes a debt repayment engine that helps you pay down any high interest debt you might have as fast as possible. My favorite part is a chart that shows your debt steadily declining with each month you pay it down. Anyway, like I said, you can find the link in the description. If you do have a big credit card debt, I know you probably don't want to hear that you have to pay it down first. You're probably itching to start investing. That's why you're watching this video. And whoever became rich by just paying off their debts. But you shouldn't look at paying off your debts as a delay to your investing. View it as your first guaranteed return because that's what it really is. It is the only time you will get 100% guaranteed return on your money because paying off your debt will save you all the future interest you would have had to pay if you hadn't paid it off. I also promise you, you'll feel great once you've paid down the last of your credit card debt. Few things in life are more satisfying than taking back control of your finances. Trust me, I've been there as well. So now you have a clear view of your finances and you paid off your high interest debt. The third and last thing you need to do before you start investing is to build an emergency fund. You need to keep some money in reserve for unexpected expenses. What if your car breaks down, for instance, or you have a leaking pipe in your house, or you lose your job, or you need money to pay medical bills? And maybe you're thinking, can't I just sell some of my investments to pay for that if I need money? And you could, but the last thing you want to do is to have to liquidate investments because you need money right now, because it's always going to be the wrong time. Now, you don't have to keep your emergency fund in a checking account. Put it in a high yield savings account. They pay more interest than a regular savings account, a lot more actually, and they usually beat inflation. or keep it as cash in a brokerage account. Brokers often keep your uninvested cash in a money market fund that offers interest rates above inflation. Some, like Fidelity, do this automatically. Others, like Vanguard, offer special cash accounts. How much money should you keep on hand? Some financial advisors say an emergency buffer should be enough to live off for 6 to 9 months or even a year in case you lose your job. Personally, I think that's too much. I think keeping 1 to 3 months of living expenses as cash on hand is enough, but that's me. You should make your own decision. If you're going to lose sleep over not being able to pay your mortgage if you don't have any income for an entire year, then by all means, keep a year of expenses in your emergency buffer. Alright, so now you're really ready to invest. You have a clear view of your finances, you paid down your high interest debt, and you created an emergency buffer in case you need immediate cash. It's time to open an investment account. Some people dread this step. It feels like a lot of work and you need to fill in all kinds of information, answer all kinds of questions about your finances. It also makes it real. It's a bit like a gym membership. Thinking about a gym membership makes you feel great, but actually getting a gym membership feels like a huge step because now you actually have to start exercising. But you'll never really build long-term wealth by just saying to yourself, I really should open an investment account, and then never doing it. You need to make it real. You need to take that first step. Once you've done that, it will become much easier to invest. And don't worry about not having enough money. Even if you can barely afford to deposit a single dollar, you should still open an investment account. Because the most important thing right now is not how much you can put in, but that you start. You need to start. You need to take that excuse away from yourself. So if you didn't open one already, your goal for this month should be to open an investment account. That's it. Just open an investment account. Where you open your investment account is up to you. There are several reputable brokerages, some of which have been around for decades. In the US, some of the best known are Vanguard, Fidelity, Charles Schwab, and Robinhood. In Europe, big names are Trading 212, Interactive Brokers, and Maxim. All of these brokers are well regulated, customer friendly, and highly reputable. I'll leave links in the description. There are also different types of investment accounts. Now, this is where it gets interesting. For regular investing, you can just open a standard brokerage account. But there are also all kinds of tax advantage accounts, like your 401k, individual retirement accounts like the traditional IRA and the Roth IRA, health savings accounts, the HSAs, and 529 plans for education. That's in the US. I can't go into all of them here, but I just finished a deep dive into tax advantage investing. So if you want to know more about this, check it out. I'll leave a link for that as well in the description. And while you're at it, if this video is helpful, hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow so I can keep making more of these videos. But just to explain a little more, the primary retirement account in the US, the 401k, is a bit of an odd duck. If you're a business owner, you can open a solo 401k account at a brokerage like Fidelity. But if you work for a company, you can't open a 401k on your own. You have to enroll through your employer. You choose an amount to contribute, which is then automatically deducted from your pre-tax pay. Often, your employer will also contribute to your 401k based on what you invest. So be sure to look into this as well, because this is literally free money. Don't leave it on the table. If you're in the UK, you're likely automatically enrolled in a workplace pension plan, which works similar to a 401k and is also tax advantaged. And like the US, the UK also has tax advantage individual retirement accounts, the individual savings account, the ISA, and the self-invested personal pension, the SIP. Most countries have some form of tax advantage retirement investing, so I highly recommend checking out the options in your country, because tax advantage retirement investing can save you hundreds of thousands of dollars over time. If I had to start investing from scratch, I would definitely first max out my 401k or solo 401k in my case, and individual retirement accounts. The next step is to decide what to invest in. To figure out what to invest in, you first have to decide what you're investing for. In other words, what's your goal? If you're investing to buy your first house in 2 or 3 years, your ideal investment mix is very different than if you want to invest for your retirement in 30 years. And if you're close to your retirement, you'll want more financial stability, meaning you want to keep more of your money in government bonds and less in stocks. A good rule of thumb is that the more time you have, the more heavily you should be invested in stocks. The stock market is a great long-term wealth builder, but a pretty poor short-term wealth protector. Look at this chart of the global stock market. It's easy to see that although the long-term trend is up, there have been several periods where the market trended downward for a period of time. When the dot-com bubble burst, for instance, in the early 2000s, the global stock market declined by 41%. And a few years later, during the global financial crisis, the stock market even dropped by 58%. So if you plan to be in a market for less than 5 years, you probably want to put most of your money in a high-yield savings account. But if you're in it for the long term, being heavy on stocks is the way to go for most investors. But how do you pick the best ones? The short answer is You don't. Everyone wants to invest in the next Nvidia, but no one knows which stock that is. The reality is that in the long run, more than 95% of professional fund managers cannot beat the market. That's why Warren Buffett advises most people to simply buy a low-cost S&P 500 index fund.
I think it's the same thing that makes most sense practically all of the time, and that is to consistently buy an S&P 500 low-cost index fund. Keep buying it through thick and thin, and especially through thin.
An index fund is simply a basket of stocks that tracks a specific index, which is just a list of assets. The S&P 500, for instance, is an index of 500 leading US companies, a list of 500 leading US companies. The most popular way to invest in an index nowadays is through an ETF, or exchange-traded fund. That's because ETFs are flexible, easy to trade, and cheap. There literally are thousands of ETFs tracking everything from the global stock market to emerging markets, bond markets, gold, Bitcoin, real estate, and so on. The biggest ETF in the world is the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF, ticker symbol VOO, which has over $860 billion in assets. If you invest in the VOO, you are essentially investing in the US. If you want a more globally diversified portfolio, you could also opt for an ETF like the Vanguard Total World Stock ETF, the VT, which is invested in nearly 10,000 companies across developed and emerging markets. Popular ETF strategy is a 60-40 or 50-50 split between a US index fund and an international fund that excludes the US, like the Vanguard Total International Stock ETF, the VXUS. By the way, I'm using examples of Vanguard ETFs here to keep it simple, but asset management firms like BlackRock and State Street also run popular ETFs. The majority of my own long-term investment portfolio is also split between the VOO and the VXUS. You have to decide for yourself what you want to invest in, but if I were a beginning investor, I would absolutely put 80 or 90% of my stock investments in broad market ETFs. Alright, so now you have an investment account and hopefully also a pretty good idea what you want to invest in. The last part is how to set up your investing so that you don't have to think about it anymore. The key to successful long-term investing is simplicity and consistency. If I started investing today, I would decide what amount I can comfortably invest every month and then automatically transfer that amount to my investment account every month. I would also automate my investments, buying the same ETFs on the same day every month, which is actually what I'm doing with my long-term investments. This way, you're getting a fairly average price. Not the best, but certainly also not the worst. This is much easier and less stressful than trying to time the market, which is difficult even for professional investors because, nobody has a crystal ball. Simplicity and consistency, that's the key. Keep investing the same amount every month and keep buying the same funds every month. And don't panic when the market drops, because it will drop from time to time. In fact, if you stay in a market long enough, you'll likely also experience a crash or two. That's all part of the game. Which brings me to the final thing I would tell my younger self when it comes to successful investing. Be patient. Warren Buffett once said that the stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. Investing for the long term isn't about timing the market. It's about time in the market. The longer you are in the market, the more likely the value of your investments will look like that global stock market chart. Long-term investing is not a get-rich-quick scheme, but over time, it will definitely make you rich. Invest $800 a month starting when you're 25, and you will hit $1 million by the time you're 50. It may not be as exciting as trying to pick the next Nvidia, but the difference is that this investment strategy actually works. Alright, so what is the $1 million mistake I made in my 20s? Well, it's really a series of mistakes. My first and biggest mistake was that I didn't start investing in my 20s. Because every dollar I would have invested back then could have spent so much longer in the market than when I finally did start investing in my late 30s. And I had the money. I could have easily invested $1,000 or more every month. But honestly, even if I could have invested only $100, it would still have given me a massive return on investment by the time I retired. My second biggest mistake was to ignore tax-advantaged retirement investing. When I was in my 20s, retirement seemed boring and completely irrelevant. I mean, who's thinking about retirement when they're 25, right? Yeah, well, I should have, because by the time it started getting more important, the golden years of my 20s were long behind me. So if you're in your 20s or early 30s right now, and there's one thing, just one thing you take away from this video, I hope that it's that you realize that the sooner you start saving for your retirement, the better. Because even though you think it's really far away, and right now it is, one day you will hit 65 or 50 or 55 if you want to retire early. Unless you die before that, and you probably won't. And the great thing is, retirement investing is tax deductible. Plus, your employer's contributions are likely based on your contributions, meaning that every year that you don't contribute to your 401k, you're literally leaving free money on the table. And my third and final biggest investing mistake was that when I finally did start investing, I picked stocks myself and traded them actively. This seemed logical to me because I was a day trader, but trading and long-term investing are two very different beasts. For long-term investing, the best thing you can do is simply buy broad market index funds. Unless you are really into investing and you want to spend hours a day keeping up to date with the markets and the companies you're invested in and companies you're interested in. So do yourself a favor, open an investment account, or better yet, enroll in your 401k plan and start investing 10% of your salary in broad market index funds every month. Don't wait, don't postpone, just start. Your future self will thank you with $1 million gift. Now, like I mentioned earlier, I recently did a deep dive about tax advantage investing, so if you don't know a lot about it, I suggest you watch it. I guarantee that after watching it, you will know more about tax advantage investing than you learned in your entire high school career, which is pretty ridiculous when you think about it, but that's a topic for another video. And if you're new to ETF investing, watch this video about highly effective ETF investment strategies. If you have any other investing questions, let me know in the comments below and I'll try to answer them. And if you are already investing, let me know when you first started and how close you are to reaching your investment goal. I always love to exchange ideas about investing. Keep building long-term wealth smarter and faster, and I'll see you in the next one.